Hi everyone. Before I begin, if you're able to like, share and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. So right then, who is Fabio Borges? In case you didn't know, he is not one of the, but he is the greatest FPL manager of all time. You can check multiple halls of fames across the world of FPL, and he is ranked as the #1 all-time manager. Here is one example from the LiveFPL.net Hall of Fame. There he is, right at the top. And I actually did a video on Fabio Borges in the early part of last season, whereby I successfully predicted his transfer away from the Ward Iverson combo to another budget goalkeeper. So basically, on that similar way of thinking, I thought, well, I've been tracking his team actually for the past 3 years. Why couldn't I just predict his entire FPL team? And I know it sounds a bit outrageous, and I'll probably get a lot of mistakes along the way as well. But I've actually got examples of other, well, teams that he's created over the past 1 to 2 years, which I'll share as well. And they will also influence my decision making when constructing this draft. But it goes without saying, it's a really hard thing to do. Of course it is. But I think based on what I know and the persona I believe he has, I'm going to give it a go. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. And in total, I think I'm going to make 7 specific predictions. And these 7 predictions will ultimately influence the team that I'm going to construct for Fabio Borges. So before I actually even do that, I wanted to just provide some context on the type of FPL manager that I think he is. You're #1 for a very specific reason as the all-time manager. And one thing that I've noticed with Fabio Borges, he isn't like the typical template FC manager. He's someone who isn't afraid to take risks, especially on captaincy. I've seen it on multiple occasions where I've got this theory whereby 90% of the elite managers will ultimately go for the EO captain, but in his case, actually, in a large minority of times, he'll go for like the alternative. So in that case, he is fairly aggressive on the captaincy front and also with his transfers as well. So I'll actually give some specific examples right now on the transfer front. And also this graphic, quite useful. This is from the 21-22 season, and it's one that FPL Focal shared in May of 2022, and actually provides a snapshot of the kind of players that he bought for that particular season. And in this particular graphic, not sure if you're able to see it unless you super zoom in, he was very heavy on defenders, and he does love a budget goalkeeper as well, as you'll see in the other um, teams that he's constructed over the past 1 to 2 years. But this graphic heavily influenced my way of thinking, and he has got some favorites as well when it comes to players. So this particular team here is Fabio Borges's Game Week 1 team from the 21-22 season. It's got Mohamed Salah in there, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Luke Shaw as well. And then coming on to his Game Week 1 team from last season, again, I talked about having a heavy defense. Here we go. He's got a 5-man defense here with the Iverson Ward combination. And I basically predicted that he would get rid of Iverson, I believe, not Iverson, Ward, for another budget goalkeeper. And I think the prediction I had was Raya, but he went for Sanchez. But it just seemed like that would be his move. But in this case, 5-3-2 formation, a bit unorthodox. But again, he likes to tap into the value players as well. And once again, we see Mohamed Salah, we see Trent Alexander-Arnold as well making his cut. And then coming on to another iteration, this is further down the line, I think at the halfway point of last season, where he basically went into a 4-4-2 formation. And we see the likes of James, Cancelo being the power defenders, and then Mohamed Salah is in this lineup as well, Rashford, Fernandes, Haaland. So again, he found the value in getting those big hitters in, and got a bench of Botman, Andreas as well. So lightish bench, but it's not it's not like completely filled with duds. And this one is from, well, right at the end of last season, where we can see he's got a double up in defence of Newcastle United, got a double up of Brighton. Of course, this was during the double game week period, but just further indication that he isn't afraid of doing a double up as well. So that's what is going to influence me, as well as how I've seen him play over the past 2 to 3 seasons through the tracking tools that I've used. So I'm going to make 7 predictions, and those predictions will inform and create this draft. Essentially, this isn't just for anyone. Just to reiterate, I've got no way to actually know what his draft is. This is purely a prediction based on what I've shown, based on what I know of his style of play. So prediction number 1, I'll say it outright right now. He definitely likes Mohamed Salah. And of course, we've seen many drafts on FPL Twitter where Mohamed Salah is absent. But then I've also seen drafts where Mohamed Salah is present for other FPL managers. So prediction 1, I'm pretty certain if he could get Salah and Trent into his team, he would. And I think it's difficult to get both in. So yeah, if he's not going to have Trent, he'll definitely have Mohamed Salah in. That's prediction number 1. So in he comes. Prediction number 2, I've seen that he likes a triple up as well. And if there's one triple up that I think Fabio Borges is going to go for, it's the most obvious one, and it's triple Arsenal. But I think the way in which he's going to do it could be a bit unorthodox. I'm pretty certain if Jesus was not injured, that he would be in Fabio Borges's team without a shadow of a doubt. And if I just flick back to this example here from the early part, well, game week 1 of last season, Gabriel, Martinelli, Jesus. And coming back to my draft here, I'm going to take a bit of a risky gamble here in terms of what I think will happen. And I think he's actually going to go for an Arsenal double up in defence in the form of Saliba and Gabriel. I know it sounds controversial, but you'll see where I'm going with this. And it's not like unusual for him to do a double up. So in comes Gabriel, in comes Saliba, and I think Saka will be his other. Let me just actually restore Saka here. I think Saka will be his other midfielder, and I'm just bringing Mohamed Salah into another midfield slot. So that is prediction number 2, that he's going to have triple Arsenal. And again, I will review how I've done with this predicted Fabio Borges team after game week 1. So I'll hold myself to account. Again, massive risk. He is the all-time great, legendary manager, but yeah, I'm happy to predict it. He'll be, to be honest, he's one of the hardest ones to predict because he does like taking risks. So that's something that will be, well, just bringing up a lot of variance for me in terms of this selection. So prediction number 3, of course he'll have Haaland, right? But I think that he wants to unlock value from defense and midfield. So alongside Haaland, he's going to have 2 dud sub 4.5 strikers. So let's get Haaland in. And the dud sub strikers, I think in comes Mubama. And I think the other one is going to be Archer. And if I recall correctly, I think I've seen him have Archer in a draft from last season as well. There he is. So Archer was in Fabio's draft from last season as well. So maybe if he was to go down the 4-5-1 route, as I potentially suspect, that Archer could be the second striker, albeit a dud sub, alongside Mubama. So there we go. We're going for a 4-5-1 formation because I feel he'd want to unlock the power hitters in midfield and defense. In comes Archer. So that is the other prediction. So we've got goalkeeping slots, 3 defensive slots, and the 3 midfield slots to fill. So the next prediction that I'm going to go for, just going back to the draft here. So the prediction number 4, Fabio loves a budget goalie. And like I've said, last season he had the Iverson Ward combo. I think he's learned from that, not mistake, but like it was problematic, and he made a rare goalkeeper transfer early on. So I think although Turner and Areola could be an option for many, I think that he's going to go for a 4.5 goalkeeper. He probably won't get Steele of Brighton because I think you'll have Estupinan as well. So he's got the Arsenal defensive double up already. Probably that's more than enough in terms of the double up. So in terms of goalkeepers, my prediction is that there'll be a 4.5 starting goalkeeper for Fabio Borges. And I'll just show that graphic again, which I saw on FPL Focal's Twitter from 2022. Just look at that on the left-hand side: Sanchez, Raya, Sanchez, Pickford, Sanchez, Schmeichel. It's 4.5 all over. In fact, just a quick scan of the other drafts without showing the screen. Yeah, 4.5. I think the only exception was Kepa, I think. I believe Kepa was 5.0 last season. If I'm not, was he 5.0, 4.5? Anyway, he was not a premium goalkeeper at that point. So coming back to the draft, Pickford comes in, and Turner at 4.0 as a potential starting keeper for Forest, I believe will be his sub goalkeeper. So in comes Turner as well. And Turner is now added as a Nottingham Forest player there. So that is the next change. So with the remaining slots, I'm coming on to my next prediction. Prediction number 5, I talked about the power hitters in midfield. So in come Rashford, Bruno, and Mitoma as well. So Rashford, Rashford, Bruno, and Mitoma. Go. So with this draft, he's got a very heavy, powerful 5-man midfield with Haaland up top, and he's got 2 starting defenders there. So it's a case of who are those remaining 3 defenders, and the budget goalkeeper, of course. So, I mean, of all the predictions, I'll come on to which I think will be almost like very likely. So I also think that he'll see the value. This is prediction number 6. He'll see the value in Chelsea, and I'm convinced that he'll have a Chelsea defender. And in my mock-up, I'm going to bring in Colwill, but I wouldn't be surprised if in Fabio Borges' actual team, he gets like James in as a 4th defender or as a sub-1 for game week 1. So go to Chelsea, and it will be Colwill as the defender. There we go. So 2 defender slots to fill. And I've got 9 million in the bank. So just have a look here. So just make sure I've got the numbers right there. So I mentioned Estupinan, forgot to add him here. I think Estupinan will be an absolute must for Fabio Borges as well. So in he comes, but he wouldn't have the double up with Brighton defenders, because I think that if he's going to have one double up, it'll probably be the Arsenal defenders. So there he goes. That leaves us with the 4.0 defensive slot, and I think you'll assess all the 4.0 defender options, and I think just based on Kabore, Bayer, basically Luton, Burnley assets having the blank in 2, he might go for Baldock. So that prediction essentially is that he'll definitely have a 4.0 defender, and if I was to hazard a guess on who it would be Baldock. So there we go. And just to make sure that it's all been balanced up, it's no jiggery pokery here with this draft. So budget's been maxed out in Fabio Borges's predicted team as per my mock-up. Budget goalkeeper, I'm very certain he's going to have it. I'll be very shocked if he had Edison. I refuse to believe it, just based on all the teams that I've seen and the tracking that I've done of his from 2021, it will be a 4.5 goalkeeper. And he's learnt his lesson from the Iverson Ward situation from last season. So he made that early budget goalkeeper move, which I remember and which I predicted. Just to remind you, the video for that is here. So I'll share the link to that in the description below as well. So I basically got the move spot on in that instance. But what I basically got wrong was who it was. I think I said Ryan, it was Sanchez. So coming back to the team, budget goalkeeper locked in from my prediction, a power 5 defense of Estupinan, Saliba, Gabriel, Colwill. And I feel that he might have to start Baldock in game week 1, but I wouldn't be massively surprised if he started Colwill, despite it being Liverpool. But like I've said, if he was able to find a way to get Reece James in or Chilwell in, I think that they would be a starting defender for him in his draft. So that's a 4-man defense there. Coming on to the midfield, just as a reminder, the power hitters, Rashford, Fernandes, Saka, and Salah. Those 4 in particular, I think he'll make it work somehow. Mitoma, he might, he could downsize him for a 4.5 and then shift Archer or Mubama out for a João Pedro and go 4-4-2 perhaps. But those 4 midfielders, not many people have that combination. I think that combination as an effective ownership link will be very low. But I think he'll make it work. And it got me thinking that with Mohamed Salah, he likes him, and he wants a balanced team at the same time as well. You're not relying on like 2 4.0s. You've got a solid defense, albeit with 1 double up, and you've got the power hitters in midfield. Just remember that. Saka, Fernandes, Rashford, Salah. Not many people have that. I don't even have that combination in my current draft right now, but I'm pretty certain that that power midfield wouldn't be a million miles off what he'll go for. And then lastly, to make it all work with the power defense and the power midfield, Haaland up top, of course, and the dud sub 4.5 defenders. Again, this is a prediction. I haven't got a tracking device to see what his actual team is. And Fabio, if you're watching this before the game week 1 deadline, I hope this doesn't influence you in any way to go against whatever you're doing. This is just purely an illustration on the respect that I have for you as the greatest FPL manager of all time. I follow a lot of your moves and I like the way that you play, albeit I play differently to the way that you play. But I do know that, like, to be the best, you have to emulate the best. So it's thinking with that mindset and ultimately play for anyone who plays in a specific way, fair play to you. But with the Fabio Borges way of playing, as I understand it through my own interpretation, it's template FC with a lot of risk taking to a calculated method, but looking for value and balance and the power hitters across the squad. And this is what we've ended up with. So I'll just do a super zoom in for one last time. That front line, that midfield and defense, forcing it into a 4-5-1. Could it be? I don't think it would go 5-4-1. It would be a 4-5-1 and the budget goalkeepers. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. Have I got it horribly wrong, or have you got no idea? But this is literally just a concept team. I'm not trying to influence him, not trying to influence you, but it's just something that I thought I'd share. And if it, I've got to set like some sort of like parameters. Obviously, a lot of the picks are relatively easy to predict, but if I was able to predict even 75% of his squad, I'd consider that a massive success. So we'll see how it goes. As always, if you can like, share, and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. All the best for the season ahead. Take care. Thank you. Bye.